Staff Sergeant Maria Rodriguez adjusted her grip on the Barrett M82A1 anti-materiel rifle, its weight familiar after 3 years of specialized training. The morning sun cast long shadows across the military training facility in Fort Benning, Georgia. She had arrived at 0500 hours, 2 hours before the scheduled inspection, wanting everything perfect for today's demonstration. The Barrett .50 caliber rifle gleamed under the fluorescent lights of the armory. Maria had spent the previous evening cleaning every component, ensuring the scope was perfectly calibrated, and checking the ammunition twice. This wasn't just any inspection. General Harrison Webb, a decorated Vietnam veteran and current commander of the Special Operations Command, would be touring the facility with several foreign military attachés. Maria had earned her reputation the hard way. Growing up in a small Texas town where hunting was a way of life, she had started shooting at age 7 with her grandfather's old .22 rifle. Her natural talent became evident during high school competitions, where she consistently outshot boys who had been bragging about their skills for years. But it wasn't until she enlisted in the Army at 18 that she discovered her true calling. The path to becoming a military sniper had been brutal. The initial screening eliminated 90% of candidates within the first week. Physical fitness tests that pushed even seasoned infantry soldiers to their limits. Psychological evaluations designed to weed out those who couldn't handle the mental pressure of precision shooting under combat conditions. And academic requirements that demanded understanding of ballistics, meteorology, and advanced mathematics. Maria remembered the day she first held a Barrett .50. The instructor, Master Sergeant Thompson, had looked skeptical when he saw her 5'4" frame approaching the massive weapon. "This rifle weighs 30 pounds, Rodriguez," he had said, not unkindly, but with obvious doubt. "The recoil can knock a grown man flat if he's not prepared." She had proven him wrong that day, and every day since. The Barrett became an extension of herself, its power and precision matching her determination and skill. During advanced training, she had achieved something that put her in an elite category, confirmed hits at distances exceeding 3,200 meters. The 3,200-meter badge represented more than marksmanship. It required calculations accounting for wind speed at multiple altitudes, temperature variations, humidity, barometric pressure, and even the rotation of the Earth. At that distance, a bullet would be in flight for over 4 seconds, time enough for conditions to change dramatically. Only 12 active-duty snipers in the entire U.S. military had achieved this level of certification. As Maria positioned herself at the demonstration range, she thought about the comments she'd overheard in the mess hall the previous evening. Some of the younger soldiers still questioned whether women belonged in combat roles, despite official policy changes. Others made crude jokes about female snipers, usually involving movie references that bore no resemblance to reality. She had learned to ignore the noise, focusing instead on results. During her deployment in Afghanistan, her precision had saved countless lives. Intelligence reports later revealed that several high-value targets had been eliminated at distances thought impossible, disrupting enemy operations across entire provinces. Her spotter, Corporal Jenkins, often joked that Maria could thread a needle from a mile away in a hurricane. The sound of approaching vehicles interrupted her thoughts. Through the armory window, she could see a convoy of black SUVs pulling up to the main building. The inspection party had arrived early. Maria quickly performed a final function check on the Barrett, ensuring everything was ready for what she knew would be a critical demonstration. General Webb's reputation preceded him. Stories circulated about his legendary marksmanship during the Vietnam War, where he had served as a reconnaissance team leader. His confirmed kill count remained classified, but rumors suggested numbers that put him among the most effective snipers in military history. More importantly, he was known as a traditionalist who believed in proven methods and tested soldiers. The inspection party would visit multiple stations throughout the day, observing various weapon systems and tactical demonstrations. Maria's station was scheduled for 1400 hours, giving her time to observe the general's reactions to other presentations. She wanted to understand his expectations and adjust her demonstration accordingly. As she prepared to move to the observation area, Maria caught her reflection in the Barrett's scope. The face looking back showed determination mixed with nervous energy. This demonstration could influence her career trajectory significantly. Success might open doors to specialized assignments, advanced training opportunities, or even instructor positions. Failure, particularly in front of foreign military representatives, could limit her options for years. The morning passed slowly as Maria watched from a distance while the inspection party toured various facilities. General Webb moved with the bearing of a career soldier, asking pointed questions and taking detailed notes. She noticed he spent extra time at stations where the demonstrators showed exceptional skill or innovative techniques. At 1200 hours, Maria returned to her assigned range to make final preparations. The target zone stretched out before her, marked at various distances with precision surveying equipment. The 3,200-meter target appeared as a barely visible speck on the horizon, requiring binoculars for clear identification, even in perfect weather conditions. The wind had picked up slightly since morning, adding complexity to the shooting equation. Maria pulled out her weather instruments, recording wind speed and direction at 3-second intervals. The data would be crucial for her ballistic calculations when the time came for the actual demonstration. As she worked through her pre-shooting routine, Maria reflected on the journey that had brought her to this moment. Every hour of training, every challenging shot, every moment of doubt overcome had led to this opportunity. The Barrett 50 beside her represented not just a weapon, but a symbol of her commitment to excellence in a demanding profession. The sound of approaching footsteps announced the arrival of the inspection party ahead of schedule. Maria turned to see General Webb leading a group of officers and foreign representatives toward her position. His eyes immediately went to the Barrett 50, and she caught the slight nod of recognition that suggested he knew exactly what he was looking at. "Staff Sergeant Rodriguez," called out Major Peterson, who was coordinating the demonstration. "Please prepare for the 1400 hours presentation." Maria snapped to attention as the group approached. This was the moment she had been preparing for, not just today, but for her entire military career. The general's expression remained unreadable as he examined her setup, his experienced eyes taking in every detail of her preparation and equipment placement. The stage was set for a demonstration that would determine not just Maria's future, but potentially influence military policy regarding specialized training standards and gender integration in elite combat roles. General Webb approached the firing line with the measured gait of someone who had spent decades evaluating military personnel under pressure. His steel-gray eyes moved methodically from Maria to the Barrett 50, then to the distant target markers stretching across the range. The foreign military attachés followed closely behind, their conversations hushed as they observed the setup. "Staff Sergeant Rodriguez," General Webb said, his voice carrying the authority of 4 decades in uniform. "I understand you hold some rather impressive certifications." Maria stood at attention, her response crisp and professional. "Yes, sir. I am certified for precision engagement at extended ranges, including the 3,200-meter qualification." The general's eyebrows rose slightly. He had seen the notation in her file, but hearing it confirmed in person carried different weight. During his own sniper training in the 1970s, shots beyond 1,000 meters were considered exceptional. The technology and training methods had evolved dramatically, but the fundamental requirements remained unchanged: steady nerves, mathematical precision, and an almost supernatural ability to read environmental conditions. "The Barrett is an impressive weapon system," General Webb observed, running his hand along the rifle's distinctive muzzle brake. "But I'm more interested in the operator." Walk me through your preparation process for an extended range engagement. This was the opportunity Maria had been hoping for. Rather than simply demonstrating her shooting ability, the general wanted to understand her methodology. She began explaining her routine, starting with environmental assessment and moving through ballistic calculations, target analysis, and ammunition selection. As she spoke, Maria noticed the general's attention intensify. He asked specific questions about wind-reading techniques, particularly how she accounted for atmospheric conditions at different altitudes along the bullet's trajectory. His questions revealed a deep understanding of advanced marksmanship that went far beyond what most officers possessed. The foreign attachés listened with growing interest as Maria detailed the mathematical complexities involved in extreme-range shooting. The British colonel, a veteran of special operations in Iraq, seemed particularly impressed by her explanation of how she compensated for the Coriolis effect, the influence of Earth's rotation on projectile flight. In Afghanistan, Maria continued, we had a target at approximately 2,800 meters. The intelligence indicated a high-value individual would be meeting with local commanders at a specific location and time. Weather conditions were challenging, gusty winds with variable direction, temperature fluctuations due to altitude differences, and limited observation time. General Webb nodded, recognizing the type of scenario that defined modern sniper operations. What was your solution? I established my position 4 hours before the scheduled meeting, sir. Continuous weather monitoring showed wind patterns shifting in 30-minute cycles. I calculated 3 different firing solutions based on the most likely conditions at engagement time. When the target appeared, I selected the appropriate calculation set and engaged successfully on the first shot. The general's expression remained neutral, but Maria caught the slight tilt of his head that suggested professional appreciation. He understood that successful long-range sniping required more than just shooting ability. It demanded tactical patience, analytical thinking, and the confidence to stake everything on mathematical calculations. Demonstrate your range estimation technique, General Webb instructed, pointing toward various targets scattered across the training area. Maria retrieved her range-finding equipment and began working through the process systematically. She used multiple methods, laser range-finding, mil-dot estimation, and terrain association, to verify distances to several targets. Her accuracy impressed the observation party, with each estimate falling within acceptable margins of error. The French liaison officer asked about her training background, curious about how American military snipers develop such capabilities. Maria explained the selection process, the months of intensive instruction, and the ongoing proficiency requirements that kept skills sharp. The physical requirements are significant, she noted. A fully equipped sniper system weighs over 50 pounds, including the rifle, ammunition, optics, and support equipment. Missions can require carrying this load for miles across difficult terrain, then maintaining steady precision after physical exertion. General Webb watched as Maria demonstrated her equipment familiarity, breaking down and reassembling the Barrett's key components with practiced efficiency. Her movements showed the muscle memory that came from thousands of repetitions, each action smooth and deliberate. The psychological aspects are equally demanding, Maria continued. Long-range engagements often involve extended periods of observation and waiting. Maintaining concentration and readiness over hours or days requires mental discipline that goes beyond standard military training. As the demonstration progressed, General Webb found himself reconsidering some of his assumptions about modern sniper capabilities. The technology had advanced tremendously since his own service, but more importantly, the training standards had evolved to produce operators capable of unprecedented precision and tactical effectiveness. The German observer asked about integration with other military units during combat operations. Maria described how snipers worked with intelligence teams, forward observers, and tactical commanders to provide both reconnaissance and precision fires in complex operational environments. In urban environments, she explained, extreme range capability provides unique advantages. We can engage targets from positions well outside enemy response range, allowing for mission completion without compromising friendly forces or civilians in the immediate area. General Webb appreciated her tactical understanding. Too often, he had encountered specialists who excelled in their narrow field but lacked broader military perspective. Maria clearly understood how her capabilities fit into larger operational frameworks. The inspection party spent another hour examining various aspects of Maria's equipment and methodology. The Barrett 50's advanced optics system drew particular interest, with its ability to provide clear target identification at distances where conventional weapons became ineffective. As the formal demonstration portion concluded, General Webb surprised everyone by requesting an actual firing demonstration. This hadn't been part of the scheduled presentation, but the range was active and the safety protocols were in place. "I'd like to see the 3,200-meter engagement process," he said simply. Maria felt her pulse quicken, but her training took over. This was exactly what she had been preparing for, even if the circumstances were unexpected. She began her pre-engagement routine, checking weather conditions, calculating firing solutions, and preparing her equipment for the extended range shot. The target at 3,200 meters was barely visible to the naked eye. Even through high-powered spotting scopes, it appeared as a small geometric shape against the distant hillside. The mathematical challenge of hitting such a target required accounting for dozens of variables that could affect bullet trajectory over the 4-second flight time. As Maria settled into her firing position, General Webb positioned himself where he could observe both her technique and the target area through spotting equipment. The other members of the inspection party arranged themselves to watch what they understood would be an exceptional demonstration of military marksmanship. The range fell silent except for the sound of wind moving across the open terrain. Maria's breathing slowed as she entered the focused mental state required for precision shooting. This was the moment that would define not just this demonstration, but potentially her entire career trajectory. Maria's world contracted to the precise intersection of crosshairs and distant target. Through the Barrett's powerful scope, the 3,200-meter target appeared as a distinct geometric shape, but atmospheric distortion caused it to shimmer like a mirage. She had learned to read these optical illusions as environmental data, understanding that the shimmer patterns revealed wind conditions and thermal currents affecting the bullet's path. The calculations ran through her mind automatically. Wind speed at ground level measured 8 miles per hour from the southwest, but experience taught her that conditions aloft could be dramatically different. She observed grass movement, dust patterns, and even the way heat waves rose from sun-warmed surfaces to build a three-dimensional picture of atmospheric conditions along the entire trajectory. General Webb watched through his own spotting scope, his experienced eye noting Maria's methodical preparation. He had seen thousands of military shooters over his career, but few displayed the calm professionalism he was witnessing. Her movements were deliberate without being rushed, confident without showing arrogance. The mathematical complexity of the shot was staggering. At 3,200 meters, gravity would pull the bullet approximately 60 feet below its initial trajectory. Wind drift could easily push it several feet laterally. Temperature differences between the rifle barrel and ambient air affected muzzle velocity. Even the rotation of the Earth during the bullet's 4-second flight time required compensation. "Conditions are stable," Maria announced, her voice steady despite the pressure of performing before such distinguished observers. "Wind consistent at 7 to 9 miles per hour southwest. Temperature 72 degrees. Humidity 45%. Barometric pressure steady." She had loaded a single round into the Barrett's chamber, a .50 caliber armor-piercing incendiary cartridge designed specifically for long-range precision work. The massive cartridge contained enough propellant to drive the bullet at velocities exceeding 2,800 feet per second, but maintaining accuracy at extreme range required perfect ammunition consistency. General Webb found himself holding his breath as Maria made final adjustments to her scope. He had attempted similar shots during his own service, understanding intimately the pressure she was experiencing. Success would validate not just her individual capabilities, but the entire advanced sniper training program. Failure, particularly in front of foreign military representatives, could raise questions about training standards and resource allocation. The seconds stretched as Maria controlled her breathing, waiting for the precise moment when all conditions aligned. Her heartbeat slowed to the rhythm she had trained for thousands of hours to achieve. Through the scope, the target remained steady in her crosshairs, but she knew that steadiness was an illusion. At this distance, the slightest movement would translate to missed shots by yards. The trigger break came as a surprise even to Maria, the result of trained muscle memory rather than conscious decision. The Barrett's massive muzzle brake redirected propellant gases to reduce felt recoil, but the rifle still delivered a substantial impact to her shoulder. Years of training had conditioned her to maintain scope picture through the recoil cycle, allowing her to observe bullet impact. The shot's report echoed across the range like thunder, drawing attention from other training areas. Range safety personnel verified that all personnel were clear of impact zones as the observation party focused their optical equipment on the distant target area. 4 seconds felt like an eternity as the bullet traced its arc through the atmosphere. General Webb tracked its estimated path through his spotting scope, his calculations suggesting the round would arrive low and slightly right if Maria's wind reading had been accurate. The impact occurred with startling violence. Even at 3,200 meters, the 50 caliber armor-piercing round retained enough energy to completely destroy the target structure. Through the spotting scopes, observers could see debris scattering across a wide area around the impact point. "Target hit center mass," called out the range observer, his voice carrying across the suddenly quiet firing line. General Webb lowered his spotting scope and turned to look at Maria, who was already beginning her post-engagement routine. She ejected the spent cartridge case, ensured the rifle was safe, and recorded shooting data in her logbook. Her professional composure impressed him as much as the successful shot. The foreign attachés were visibly stunned by what they had witnessed. The British colonel shook his head in amazement, while the German observer was already making notes about training methodologies. They had all heard about American sniper capabilities, but seeing such precision demonstrated under observation conditions provided undeniable validation. "Outstanding shooting, Staff Sergeant," General Webb said, his tone carrying the respect of one professional acknowledging another. That level of precision represents the highest standards of military marksmanship. But it was what happened next that would define Maria's career trajectory. General Webb approached her position and examined the 3,200-meter qualification badge displayed on her uniform. His fingers traced the small metal insignia that represented hundreds of hours of training and exceptional natural ability. 12 active duty personnel hold this certification, he observed, his voice thoughtful. "You're the first woman to achieve it." The weight of that statement settled over the observation party. Maria had broken barriers that extended far beyond simple marksmanship, demonstrating capabilities that challenged traditional assumptions about combat roles and gender limitations. "Sir, the shot was well within my capabilities," Maria responded, maintaining the professional tone that had characterized her entire demonstration. The training programs and equipment available to military snipers today allow for precision engagement at ranges that were impossible during earlier periods. General Webb nodded, but his mind was already moving toward broader implications. The demonstration had convinced him that current training standards were producing operators capable of unprecedented effectiveness. More importantly, it had shown that those standards applied equally regardless of the operator's gender or background. Over the following months, Maria's demonstration would influence policy decisions at the highest levels of military command. General Webb's report recommended expanded sniper training programs and elimination of remaining barriers to women serving in specialized combat roles. The foreign military observers returned to their countries with new appreciation for American training methodologies and operational capabilities. For Maria, the demonstration marked a turning point in her career. Within 6 months, she was selected for the elite sniper instructor course, qualifying her to train the next generation of precision marksmen. Her techniques and methodologies became part of standard training curricula, influencing thousands of future snipers. The Barrett 50 that had seemed so massive during her initial training now felt like a natural extension of her capabilities. She continued setting records for precision and effectiveness, but more importantly, she opened doors for other women seeking to serve in similar roles. Years later, when General Webb retired from active duty, he would often cite Maria's demonstration as an example of how military excellence transcended traditional boundaries. The precision shot that day had hit more than just a distant target. It had shattered assumptions and opened new possibilities for an entire generation of military professionals. The 3,200-meter badge remained a rare achievement, but it was no longer unique to any single demographic group. Maria had proven that exceptional capability could emerge from unexpected sources, given proper training, dedication, and opportunity. Her legacy extended far beyond marksmanship into the broader evolution of military professionalism and excellence.